I do believe that cars have souls.
Hey, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk to you about a car I picked up a few years ago, a 1965 Buick Skylark. It was a friend of mine's. He was getting ready to buy a house, and this had been sitting in his garage for 2 or 3 years, something like that. He needed the space and some extra cash, so I went over and took a look at it and thought it was a pretty good place to start. Anytime I look to pick up something that I'm going to potentially work on and maybe sell later on, there's certain things I look for. You know, mechanically it needs to be pretty well put together. Interior needs to be pretty complete. You know, it needs to have things that I can work on and, you know, cosmetically take care of. And nothing major wrong with it that's going to cost, you know, some crazy amount of money. This one needed a minimal amount of mechanical work done to it. It needed some brake work. It needed the transmission leak fixed. It had a really, really bad transmission leak, and mostly it just needed some cosmetic TLC and reassembled. It was missing a window on the passenger door, which the window was included with the car, but it wasn't installed. He had started stripping it down. As you can see, part of it was bare metal, and some of it was primered, and it had been repainted, I think, twice. As I dug down through the layers, it looked like twice, and both times it was painted white on top of the original paint, which is too bad because I don't know if it sat outside for a while or what, but the original paint was that gold, and it would have been a really, really great color to try to bring back. But it was a little too far gone, and he had started stripping it with chemical stripper, and a lot of the car was just a big mess. I started DAing most of the car down and just getting it down to the bare metal so I can get some good primer on it and, you know, make sure that there's no major damage or rust underneath it or holes or anything. And it was nice. It was very, very nice. In fact, it was probably one of the nicest cars of that era that I've ever had in my possession. There was zero rust in the body of this car. No quarter panel rust, no front fender rust in the normal places, nor door rust. It had a very, very few little dings in the car. One quarter panel. The passenger side quarter panel had a few little whoops here and there. The front driver's fender had a couple little spots. I stripped the whole car to bare metal and primered it, and I did zero body work to the car. All I did was strip it, prime it, and then got going on the mechanical side of things. You know, body and paint is my forte. It's what I enjoy doing the most. I'd rather do body and paint on something than wrench on something. You know, I can wrench on things. Yeah, there's the missing window that I had, you know, covered for that time. I'd much rather do body work and paint work than mechanical work. There I'm using chemical stripper on the roof. There was just so many thick layers on it that it made way more sense to just chemical strip it a couple of times and then hit it with the DA to finish it up. I had to replace the front windshield when the previous owner removed the molding from around it. He chipped it and in multiple places, and it looked bad, so I wanted to get that looking better, so I had that switched out. Yeah, the rest of the glass was in pretty decent shape, and it was even really good shape below the back window, which is notorious for rusting out on these cars. The transmission definitely needed some TLC as well. It actually shifted fine and worked functionally fine. It just leaked really, really bad, so I went through and replaced some O-rings and the different gaskets on it, cleaned it up, and after that it worked really well. This is a really great car. Drove well. It reminded me a lot of a 66, 67 Chevelle, which I've had quite a few of and really, really enjoy those cars. Even though it was a 65, it felt and looked and felt different than a 65 Chevelle would be. The car, which I don't think I mentioned, is it's a 65 Buick Skylark. It's a two-door hardtop. Is a V8, 300 cubic inch V8, automatic. The guy had put disc brakes on it before I got it, so that was really, really helpful. I ended up putting a newer radiator in it, a bigger radiator. It just didn't cool well enough for what I like to have in my cars. The car had dual exhaust. I ended up putting up a lot of different parts on it that it was missing. Brand new roof seals around the windows to get that all sealed up. Quarter window seals. I put new shocks on it. I ended up redoing the rear brakes. They had some weirdness going on with them. The transmission was a 2-speed automatic, and but it looked like a turbo 350 if you know what those look like. It was kind of a transition year for these cars. It's part old technology, part new technology. I had my wife make some seat covers for it. The interior was all original, and some of it was decent, and some of it, like the bucket seats were just, I mean, the vinyl would cut you. And so I ended up making these covers, and so at least you could drive it without having shards of plastic digging into your flesh while you drove the car around. But I really miss this car. It was a lot of fun. I got it together and drove it for quite a while, listed it for sale. I ended up selling it to somebody locally, but before that I had listed it on eBay, and the guy that bought it from me ended up selling it to one of the guys who contacted me through eBay, and this car is currently in England. So, and I'm still in touch with the guy who bought the car, and he still drives it all the time and enjoys it. So hope you enjoyed this little snapshot of this car I had a few years ago.